People, Deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Because you always use that active when defenders. I think it's like.
People, Deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Thank you very much, Ian Wright. I can take it from here. People, Deluded, I'm back again. First things first, I hope you're all doing well and safe. Appreciative to all of you lot watching my video. Please make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, turning on your notifications, getting your comments in during the premiere of this video, and obviously at the end, and letting me know your feelings in relation to the transfer news. Now, I kind of alluded to it there. Obviously, Arsenal are not in action in terms of the first team. Can't wait till they're back, definitely in the form we've been in. And we're approaching January in the transfer window. And, you know, in January of last year, we know that was a turning point for Arsenal. In the summer, we did some good business, probably could have identified and brought in a couple of players to give us just that added push. Hopefully that's also done, or there's a want to do that in January. So with that being said, transfer news business, let me share my screen with you guys and let's get into it, people, because it seems like Mudryk at this point, if he don't become an Arsenal player, people, then I don't want to see another newspaper tabloid again. But yeah, more Mudryk business. As you can see here, Arsenal poised to win the race for Ukrainian Neymar Mykhaylo Mudryk from Shakhtar Donetsk after the club lowered their asking price to 40 million. Now, obviously, he's given a lot of interviews and talked up a move to Arsenal as well as other clubs. You know, again, he's kind of criticized his club indirectly of trying to set 100 million euros price tag. Respectfully to the Ukrainian league, Mudryk's talent, Shakhtar Donetsk as a club, unless it's the new Messi or something, there's no way 100 million pounds is being spent on really an unproven 21-year-old. Do not get it mistaken. Fantastic talent, showing his bits and pieces in the Champions League. You know, if Arteta wants him, then I'm, you know, his talent ID along with Edu's has been spot on, then I'm all for that. 21 emerging talent, but they know they're not going to get that money. All they want is that to sell to the highest bidder and drive a bidding war, which I rate them for, as you would want to do. He's 21 years of age, seen as the next crown jewel in the Ukrainian football. You know, again, a couple of decent young players, him being the flag bearer. So again, it's like being a British tourist going on holiday. You know, you're not paying the local rate, and obviously if the top 5 European clubs are in for him, top 5 division league European clubs are in for him, especially Premier League, where, you know, we're running away with it now. You know, a couple of teams that are not even in Europe in the Premier League get more lucrative money through TV rights in the league and all of that than the Real Madrids, etc. So you can see why, you know, definitely if he's going to a British team, they're going to drive up the price. Now, we didn't get him done in January. I mean, in the summer. Hopefully we can get it done in January. Apparently, Shakhtar Donetsk originally demanded 90 million people. They've appeared to have lowered their asking price, with Arsenal agreeing to a 40 million pound deal. Didn't we hear that was the sort of region that was rejected in the summer? Now, things can change. Maybe Arsenal deem that he might have not been worth that then. He's kind of confirmed certain things for all his talent now, sort of thing. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's a thing where, you know, Shakhtar have seen whatever we want to demand of him, we probably can't get that, and it's time to probably be a bit more sensible in terms of negotiation. I'm not paying attention to the next Neymar and things. It doesn't help him. You know, if he's got the talent, fair play, but he's his own man. As we know, the 21-year-old has been chased by clubs by clubs around Europe after bagging 7 goals in 12 games in the Ukrainian Premier League this season. It initially seemed like a move would not materialize, as Shakhtar demanded 90 million for their star winger, but reports in the Mirror, which we're going to look at, suggest the Gunners have been able to agree a deal after his asking price was lowered to 40 million plus add-ons. I mean, if we can get that and this Danilo guy done, then centre mid and winger areas have been addressed, and it should make us just that bit stronger going into what's left of the campaign and years above. Previous years beyond. Previously, Mudryk has said, when I found out about my asking price, I wasn't just surprised, I was shocked. I will not hide that I was very upset. The amount puts a barrier for my transition to the top championship, which I also dreamed of. I can't say that my dream was killed, but wounded, that's for sure. I have a long-term contract with Shakhtar. I'll give all my strength and energy so that Shakhtar achieves maximum results, but every football player has the dream to play in a top club and in a top championship. I'm no exception, people. So that's positive to hear. Hopefully we can get this done. The Mirror, where they were the first to initially break this story, whether it's true or not, the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. Arsenal set to win race for top transfer target Mudryk in £40 million deal. Apparently he's drawn links with Neymar and them sort of things there. Apparently, he's drawn attention from clubs across Europe. As stated, people, his asking price has been lowered. Apparently, Arsenal now are willing to bid, and crucially, Shakhtar are willing to accept 40 million plus potential add-ons. People, big up Zinchenko and also Mish Zinchenko, who done an interview with Mudryk. People, we've seen this as well. But I'm 100% sure that they are unlikely to buy a player from the Championship of Ukraine for 100 million. I will not hide that I was very upset. The amount of 100 million puts a barrier for my transition to the top championship, which I so dreamed of. I can't say that my dream was killed but wounded, that's for sure. Apologies, people, because I think I read that already. I'm excited. What can I say? But if he could come in and give us another dimension out wide and put pressure on spots in the first team, why not, people? And also, again, people, apparently, again, I don't really like this publication, but it's the first one I clicked on. Allegedly, Telemans and Mudryk have their hearts set on an Emirates move. Allegedly, people. And we kind of discussed this yesterday. Check out my playlist where I put all the transfer news on my channel for you guys and all the other stuff where watch-alongs and the rest of it, reviews, all that stuff, people. Check out the playlist, as well as subscribing, hitting the like button and the rest of it. Appreciative for you lot with me. But apparently, Ben Jacobs said Newcastle are very much not the front runners for Mudryk, who has got his heart set on Arsenal, a bit like Telemans has got his heart set on Arsenal. But with both Telemans and Mudryk, Arsenal simply haven't bid at this point. So again, talking in the background, getting the other fragments of a deal done, but in terms of, you know, putting a bid down, getting that accepted and legally being able to progress with bringing these players to the club, we're a long way away from that based on what we could see here. Romano has said, people, on our transfer window, apparently, yes, I think it's an even bigger opportunity for them to show that they want to sign again the right players. I think they were really smart in the summer because they wanted, for example, Rafinha as a winger, but they were not able to compete with Barcelona because the player wanted to join Barcelona. So they didn't waste money on players they are not trusting. They are waiting, as they did with Vlahovic last January. They wanted Vlahovic, but he decided to join Juventus. They decided to wait and sign Gabriel Jesus. So the strategy will be the same. So hopefully that approach does us well. On Mudryk, he's also said, I think the price will be higher than 40 to 50 million euros, reported in some outlets. It's quite fluid, though he was valued at closer to 40 million in the summer, but his incredible form means it's changed and it can keep changing naturally, as you'd expect. For Mudryk, Romano also said there are 4 or 5 clubs keen on signing him, including Arsenal, of course. For Telemans, it depends on the conditions of a free deal. Arsenal always had his name on the list, but talks not concrete yet, people. Ben Jacobs doubled down on some comments. He said there's some gamesmanship going on here. Publicly, Shakhtar are starting to say 100 million, but privately, I'm told by sources at the club, again, sources, anyone could just say that, not saying he's right or wrong, but 60 to 65 million euros is a viable number that they might consider in selling Mudryk for. So maybe it's 35, 40 million potential, over 20 odd in add-ons and performance-based incentives. He said that's, sorry, I can't even see, sorry people, that's good news from Arsenal and other suitors' perspective that his price has risen, but not quite to 100 million euros, at least not privately, despite what Shakhtar may say in the public. We wait and see whether clubs feel that is market value or whether they try and play hardball. If they do leave it until the summer, there's a chance that the price will go down a further bit as he digs his heels in. So who knows? We've seen that as well. So that's kind of reiterating that. Arsenal are set to win the race for Mudryk, with insiders saying the framework of a deal is in place with Shakhtar, significantly lowered their demands close to 90 million. It's understood they are willing to accept around 40 million plus potential add-ons. So Ben Jacobs, Fabrizio Romano, and various news outlets, it all depends what truth you want to read into, people. I don't know what to believe or what not to believe, but you lot draw your own conclusions. Again, Mudryk is drawing interest from not just us, but Newcastle as well, people, as you can see here with the various outlets. In relation to a midfielder in the midfielder region, Palmeiras' Danilo, allegedly Ekrem Konur has said Arsenal will make a second move to sign Palmeiras midfielder Danilo after the World Cup, having failed to secure his signature with an offer late in the window, people. As you can see here on the 12th of November, he said Arsenal are planning moves for Leicester City's Yuri Telemans and 21-year-old Danilo, who plays for Palmeiras in January. I mean, if we could get Telemans, Danilo, and Mudryk, or if not necessarily the individuals, address their skill sets, 2 centre mids and a winger, especially in January, I'll be very happy. Not just that, but long term, when you look at the age profiles, you know, he'd still have to learn. But Danilo, 21, Mudryk, 21, Telemans, and 25, good age range. And obviously, Telemans, again, he's going to have to start thinking about his club future, because at the time of making this video, Morocco have beaten Belgium 2-0. And again, mathematically, they can go through if they win their World Cup Cup final group stage game. But boy, shout out to Morocco, because that first goal was a thing of beauty, potential goal of the season contender. Check out the highlights if you haven't. But staying on task, Charles Watson said Arsenal put a lot of groundwork for Danilo, no bid yet, but there's a belief Arsenal will try it again in January. Arsenal have been doing a lot of the groundwork when it comes to Danilo. As far as I'm aware, I'm trying to read two things at once. As far as I'm aware, there hasn't been a bid made yet from Arsenal. It wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal do firm up that interest in January, make a bid, and try to get this done in January. He then went on to say, big up Arsenal buzz. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me, having spoke to the people kind of close to that deal. There's a belief Arsenal will try again in January, but at that moment, no bid has gone in for Danilo, as far as I'm aware, people. Michael Bridges said on Cedric Suarez, my information is that Arteta feels they might be a bit light, so they might stop one of the fringe players going. There's a lot of interest in Cedric, and my understanding is he wants to move on, but Arsenal won't allow unless they bring someone else in. And, again, last January, obviously Chambers, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, probably a couple of others. Aubameyang, I'm not saying they would have got us top 4, but we lost bodies. We was already light. It's like it's being winter, it's cold outside, and you've already only got one jacket on, and you're throwing the one jacket away and being out there in flip-flops and a t-shirt. Again, we need to keep hold of certain players, especially if we can't bring in, and that's probably Cedric, Lokonga, maybe a couple of other players in and around the team that want to sort out their situations. You would reckon that anything can happen, but right back to region, we might afford to be able to let Cedric go without necessarily confirming someone in. You've got Tomiyasu, you've got Ben White, saying that now that I think about it, probably not wise actually. So I don't know. Okafor has been linked with us a couple of times. It seems like just agent talk and market nonsense, but apparently the sporting director of Salzburg, who will sell a player if the price is right, there'll be a bit more going on in the transfer market. He really took off last year. I hope he plays a good World Cup. Then the stock can become very interesting. I'm not ruling out his sale. And why would you want to rule it out? Allegedly, Arsenal and Brighton are trying to sign Rangers under 16-star Jack Wiley, who plays as a fullback. Got no clue how good he is, but Scotland, last Scottish lad we bought, thought that was a fullback team. He's done all right. So why not? And forgot the guy's name, man. I think it's Ben Dork or something. Liverpool bought a guy from Scotland, I think from Celtic, and he's quite good. So there might be a decent crop of Scottish players coming to the fore. So if we can bring them into the academy, develop them and either make a profit or have potential first team players, why would you not want to do that? Simple business. Gabriel's been linked with Juventus again. It was Tomiyasu yesterday. It's Gabriel today. Arsenal willing to sell 27 million player with huge qualities for 43 million, which would be a decent profit. Juventus are interested in signing Gabriel for Mikel Arteta's Arsenal in the summer of 2023. Bearing in mind he just signed a new deal. Anyone has a price, and maybe some Arsenal fans would take 50 million euros, 43 million pound quid, and maybe if you can assess a left-sided centre-back that is of a higher standard. I wouldn't sanction Gabriel unless he wanted to go. Seems central to Mikel Arteta's plans. Happy here, signed a new deal. Every player's got a price, and if there's a next one that can come in, then I suppose why not? But I think Gabriel at times, he does make mistakes, but Arsenal fans are quite unappreciative to him at times, generally speaking, especially when he's put in a bloody defensive performance. I know people, it's meant to be you keep it fair, whether it's certain players or players that fans might like a bit more. But there's been certain times he's made mistakes, but certain times he's got us out of a lot of trouble and been in the trenches. For him, he just needs to improve focus, in my opinion, and just cut out the bozo genes, because he's got all the raw materials to have a long future at Arsenal, even a bigger club. No clue if this is true. Again, Pulisic's contract is running down. Tomorrow we'll be linked with Mason Mount, who allegedly rejected 300k or some crap like that from Chelsea. But Manchester United, Newcastle and Arsenal set for three-way battle for informed Pulisic this January, with just 18 months left on his deal. I mean, Pulisic ain't a bad player, but we've got players that we already need to rough edges out, and why bring a next one into it, which I feel Pulisic is. He couple of games he looks a world beater. Other games he kind of reverts back to type, really and truly. So we'll have to see what's going on there. He's having a decent World Cup, but he's into the last 18 months of his contract. And allegedly, Man United, Newcastle both made inquiries in August, along with Arsenal, are among those monitoring developments. Chelsea are considering whether it make more economic sense to cash in on the 24-year-old during the January window, rather than allow his contract to run down to the final 12 months and his value depreciate further. So we'll have to see, really and truly, if I'm completely honest with you. So we'll see exactly what's happening to Pulisic. I wouldn't be necessarily over the moon. I don't really want us to do that. But yeah, we Arsenal monitoring Tottenham target Hankapi, who's doing all right, along with the whole Ecuadorian team. What's that? Four points in their first group stage games in the World Cup, and you've got former Premier League striker Enner Valencia doing all right. Arsenal are apparently monitoring Tottenham Hotspur target Piero Hankapi, allegedly, and apparently buying Leverkusen are braced for January bids for the defender. Apparently, he's earning a lot of admirers for his form in the Bundesliga this season, and Spurs and Atletico Madrid are running to sign him. Apparently, Arsenal are monitoring. Now, it makes sense. You know, you're going to be monitoring everyone, you know, at all regions. You never know when you might have to be reactive in the market or when a situation might become available. Just because we're monitoring someone doesn't mean there's a bid. But we could do with a centre-half, you know, preferably one that's more of a left-sided one, which he can play as a left-back as well as a centre-half. He has got decent height and a fairly good reader of the game. If we can get him done, then fair play. But we've been linked with him and Deco and probably several others. So it's just further confirming the areas Arsenal are trying to adapt to and address people. We're always linked with wingers. We're always linked with centre mids. We have occasionally been linked with centre backs. You know, Lisandro Martinez in the summer, who, you know, he went to United. So we'll have to see what's going on. But if he is versatile and can play properly at left back, then he joins Ben White, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, and a couple of players that, you know, are good in their natural roles, but actually adaptable in others. So again, if only a fool wouldn't want that. Arsenal consider a move for Argentine star currently featuring at the World Cup. We've once again been linked with Leandro Paredes, who apparently had a offer from us and said no because he wanted to give his word to Juventus. Juventus want to flog him back to PSG and not take out his loan. And again, he hasn't seen too much action under Allegri people. He's played just 390 minutes of Serie A football. And Arsenal are considering a move. I mean, if there's situations you can look at, why not? You know, the pool of Atletico Madrid, apparently he's allowed to go. Not that he's having the best of World Cups. He's actually stinking up the place. I think he was quite horrible against Mexico. But at Udinese, he was decent. We was linked with him. Maybe there's some situations like Paredes, like De Paul, where clubs want to sell players through lack of game time, not fitting plans or contracts, or go for the emerging talents that we've been linked with for a long time, like Danilo and people of that ilk. People apparently, I don't know what that is, people, but apparently Ben Jacobs has said with Telemans, the challenge is that Leicester will still hold out, especially if he has a good World Cup for some money, even though that money will be slightly less than over last summer. Arsenal know that. Arsenal know because they've got buy-in from Telemans, they'll just wait, bide their time and don't do anything in January. They can potentially come back in the summer. If they choose to do that, they'll get the player on a free, providing he does not sign a new contract with Leicester. And all indications are that he's not going to sign a new deal, people. So with that being said, that is all the transfer news. So we'll have to see. As I keep saying, the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. As I said at the start, please make sure you're liking, you're commenting, you're subscribing, you're turning on your notifications, and you're letting me know your opinions on all the players we've discussed: Mudryk, Danilo, Telemans, you know, the Ecuadorian centre half, etc., and any other transfer news. Again, check out the playlists, people, where all the other transfer news is there. Anything that comes out, I'll be very reactive to it and get more videos out to you lot. But for now, stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you lot in a bit.
There's always just that active red flag, defending. I think it's like